Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the US Challenger Series. We're now on day 2 of the quarterfinals. We have got Benched versus Eternity Gaming coming up in just 1 second. I am Spuddington, and I am joined today by Metas.
Hey dude, how's it going?
Pretty decent at the moment. Should note that for the duration of Champion Select, I'm going to be casting from the stream, but Metas should be in the lobby and should be on time with everything else. So I am going to be a little bit reliant on him to say if any picks are actually happening, and I assume they are at this point. I haven't seen any though myself.
Yeah, we're still on the bans at the moment. Evelyn, Jarvan, Diana, Jace, and Kha'Zix have all been taken out. So, a couple of, I would guess, rarer bans in the form of Jace and Evelyn. We haven't seen a great deal of them in the US Challenger Series thus far, but Thresh is going to be the 6th ban. And again, very much standard. So it's going to be on Bench Gaming to have first pick here. They did have the first ban as well. They're going to be on blue team when we do get onto the Rift. And it looks like they're going to be locking in the Zac, who has managed to slip through. We've seen Zac a lot so far. Spuddington can be very effective at the top or the jungle. Such good disruption and a lot of damage on top of that.
Yeah, it's deceptive how much damage Zac does. Actually, it's like that Amumu thing where you think, oh, all right, I'm fine, I'm on like 1/3 health, I can get away from this guy, and then suddenly you're dead before you even gotten 2 paces, and it's kind of just off-putting because you don't expect it because he's so tanky as well. But obviously, they did nerf his base health regen last patch, which is gonna hurt his lane sustain a bit, but he is still probably by default the most sustained character in the game. Obviously, with that passive. Actually, that's not his passive, is it? His passive is the death. So what's the...
Yep.
What component gives him the bloblets?
I think that's also his passive. I'm not sure. I think he gets the bloblets from his passive, and then if he dies, he just, obviously turns into the 4 and they join. It's like the T-1000 from Terminator, but green and slightly different. But we do actually have a few more lock-ins here, Spuddington. Obviously, Eternity have had their crack at 2 picks, and they've gone with Twisted Fate in mid and Nautilus in the jungle. Again, very, very played champions frequently. Twisted Fate wasn't banned. He is going to be picked up first, of course, in the mid. Going to have lots of global presence. And Nautilus, again, is just a ganking machine. He has so much CC on him. We do have Nardius potentially picking up the Ezreal, with YOLOZilla locking in Karthus. So, really interesting picks right off the bat from both teams.
Yeah, I mean, if they're running... sorry, you said Ezreal, right? Because
yes.
If they're running Ezreal, then that Karthus is obviously going to make up in terms of damage threat for the lack that Ezreal has. But Karthus is only kind of okay in a poke comp, which is what Ezreal usually likes to be involved in. But obviously, it gives them some flexibility. They're going to have obviously the ability to hard engage with that Zac. They're going to have the ability to make poke style gameplay. They're going to have the ability to disengage fairly well, obviously with the Wall of Pain. And with potential later picks as well. So it's a fairly flexible team composition they've gone for thus far. What they're up against, though, Twisted Fate and that Nautilus. Twisted Fate, obviously, he did get nerfed. I mean, his ult is now much longer cooldown. I think it's now about the same as Stand United on Shen, which is pretty significant in terms of length of time without it being available. So it's going to make his ganks more important, and it also makes it more viable to counter his ganks using teleport. I wouldn't be too surprised if we saw that Karthus pick up the teleport, and then obviously it's about twice as long of a cooldown, I think, on Summoner Teleport, but that does mean he would have an answer for half of Twisted Fate's ganks, at least in the early game. Once he gets the higher levels of the ability, cooldown will go down. But obviously, we have got some other picks coming in as well.
Yeah, obviously Bimbo is going to be the mid. He's, well, teasing with the idea of Heimerdinger. We know it's not going to be locked in. But as you said, he does have the teleport. So, yeah, I mean, that is the best way of basically counteracting Twisted Fate's destiny and his global presence, is to take global presence yourself. Plus, of course, the Requiem from Karthus is also by itself going to be global presence. You do have the Sona and Singed pickups, and we have just been confirmed from our production that indeed the bloblets coming down and giving the health regen is indeed his passive as well. So it's both the death and also the chunks of himself coming off. We also have Lulu being locked in here, and Bimbo has gone with the Heimerdinger, so I am going to assume that's a placement holder pick. Bass, if you get any notification of what the placeholder pick is, please let us know, dude. But it's over to the 5th pick of Eternity here, and they are missing an AD carry, so going up against Ezreal, what would your pick be here with the Sona?
I'd probably go with Varus on this one. He is obviously still available, obviously very high damage, obviously contributes a lot of CC, obviously has that healing debuff as well. He's just a generally very, very solid all-around AD carry, and he does pretty well in a lane against Ezreal. So we will be seeing, and have you got the information on what they've actually picked up?
They are hovering over Vayne with 15 seconds to go, so it's definitely possible. They've locked in the Vayne, so it is going to be Vayne on the lane there. And Bass has just confirmed that Heimerdinger is indeed a placeholder pick, and that's going to be for Darius. So we are going to have a remake, ladies and gents, while we do wait a bit longer to get into this first game of the day. Benched Gaming up against Eternity, and later on we have Absolute Legends going up against Animate, I believe. Spuddington, do correct me if I'm wrong.
I think you're correct on that. Should be an interesting game. I think Absolute Legends win last time, or no, it was Heimerdinger's Colossi. Yeah, he went out in the finals. So very nicely played. Obviously, Absolute Legends. I would expect them to go a long way. They showed some really good performances. But yeah, we have now got full compositions here, and we are going to be seeing that Darius pick. So I haven't seen him in a while, but I do happen to know from experience playing Singed versus Darius is the definition of not very fun. So do you think we might see a lane swap?
It's definitely possible. Also, the fact that they've picked up the Vayne. Vayne, obviously, well, it goes without saying that late game Vayne is a hyper carry. It is terrifying to play against. Having the lane switch ups is going to allow her not to get poked and harassed from Ezreal or Lulu, and basically just to be able to get a lot of farm to go into the mid to late game and be even stronger. So I would expect to see a lane switch coming up here, but of course it's down to the two teams whether they want to make that a reality. You also have this chess game going on in Mind Games where if Eternity try and lane swap, it's possible that Bench will also lane swap, and you have the two players at top lane. Maybe they'll swap into mid. There's so many things that they can do here, but we are being told that Yolozilla is having a client bug at the moment, so that is the reason why we haven't jumped back into the picks and bans once again here. And yeah, just going back to what you said before about Absolute Legends, of course, they got through to the very finals and got knocked out by Heimerdinger's Colossi, but they took that 2-0 lead, Spuddington. So we know that they have the talent and the raw power to actually go through and challenge Heimerdinger's Colossi, who were very comfortable yesterday in their victory.
Yeah, I think actually afterwards we spoke to some of the members of Absolute Legends, and they said they'd never practiced for a best of 5 situation as a team. Yeah. They didn't. They kind of ran out of team compositions. Was pretty much what they claimed. So that may have been a cause for their kind of honestly collapse at the end. But yeah, they were really, really solid all throughout the tournament, and we will be seeing them again later on, as you say. So, I mean, the other thing, though, with this lane swap potential to consider is who's going to be gaining double golem advantage if you do that, because I suspect that Vayne will actually suit double golems really, really nicely if they do go for that swap up. So, do you feel like Ezreal is, because Ezreal doesn't have an easy time against Vayne anyway. I mean, no one has a very difficult lane against Vayne, but against Ezreal more than others, she can farm fairly effectively. So, do you feel like Ezreal is really going to think it's worth it to swap up to follow that Vayne to get that disadvantage from double golems and the disadvantage of the lane matchup afterwards?
Well, you do see a lot of when there's this lane switches, or when the team is on the purple side and doesn't get the double golems, that a lot of AD carries will just go ahead and pick up wolves with their support instead to try and equalize the double golems advantage. So it's very possible that if they do switch it up, that Ezreal and Lulu could go ahead and try and take wolves with the help of their mid laner, for example. But that's only time's going to tell. Having said that, though, although Vayne does do fairly decent against Ezreal and Lulu together is so much poke. It's going to be very difficult for Vander to actually get himself in contention to get CS, because every time he gets close, you can have Ezreal Mystic shotting and just basically being a pain in the backside, and Lulu just glitter lancing and everything else that comes along with her. So I think it's going to be a fairly rough lane for Vayne, but mid to late game, when you have Singed, when you have Nautilus, when you have Sonar as well, there is so much peel for Vayne that she is going to be an absolute monster. If they can get this to late, I feel they've got a very strong comp here, Spuddington. But we are in the delay right now, ladies and gents, so we're going to cut to a very quick commercial break, and when you rejoin us, I should say, we'll be live for Game of 1 between Eternity Gaming and Bench. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are just getting underway now. It is Benched versus Eternity. This is the first game of a best of 3 in the quarterfinals of the EU West Challenger Series number 5. And we are just about to get underway. Metas, you should still be here.
I am indeed here, Spuddy, and I'm looking forward to this game. We was talking about the composition somewhat in the pause there, and one thing we didn't mention is the Zac and Lulu combo is actually devastatingly good for CC-wise, because Zac's going to be jumping in with Let's Bounce, Wild Growth on top of that. We could have some action early on though here, Spud. You have a couple players from Eternity in the bush, and Bimbo could be walking his way into trouble, but doesn't look likely. Going to be pulling himself back, but do you expect to see an invade here? It definitely looks like Eternity is setting up for one.
Yeah, it does actually indeed, and they are going to go for it now. They have got the stun card locked in. He is going to flash for that. Bimbo is now in trouble. Spontex actually goes for the ghost. He has got the fling. He's going to knock back Bimbo, who is now in the pain zone and is going to go down very, very easily. First blood fishing, very, very successful here.
Indeed, but 2 summoners were burnt from the side of Eternity. Of course, they're not going to care a great deal about that. In fact, 3 were burnt because Twisted Fates popped his Ignite and his Flash. And, no, 4 have been burnt, so it's just gone up and up and up. Spontex burnt both of his. He's got Singed and Flash plus Ghost, so he's going to be a very, very difficult troll to pick up as the game progresses onwards. You do have Vayne looking like she's going to be going bot lane. So, you know, talking about the lane switch-ups, will they, won't they? Turns out they're not going to be doing that. Both of the AD and the support duo is going to be at bot.
Yeah, it seems that they're pretty confident in their ability to play this lane well, because it's actually not even going to be getting the XP advantage from the Wolves. It's actually Vayne does leech a little bit there, so obviously not going to be as far behind as if she hadn't had anything, but it's not the same as giving your support and AD duo the full XP from golems. which Ezreal should be walking to lane with a fair bit of. But they have obviously, as I say, got some confidence they're going to be able to play this lane well. Vayne is a notoriously weak early champion, but like I say, it's notorious in that her matchup versus Ezreal is actually pretty good. And we are going to be also seeing quite a lot of not much fun, I think, for Spontex in this top lane. Former member of Dragonborns, incidentally, who is just going to be playing the Singed, but yeah, no summoners and only pots really to try and keep him in the lane.
Yeah, as you say, not going to be a great deal of fun, and without the Ghost or Flash, he's going to be even more vulnerable and exposed to Darius's Apprehend and all the damage afterwards. Bot lane, one of the best ways of counteracting a poke lane is to have sustain, so they do have the Sona that's going to constantly preserve the health of Vayne, just give us some healing now and again. But so far, Sona is a level behind, so they have to be careful here. Mystic Shot constantly firing out from Nadia, so he's doing a fair amount of damage, but it's going to be pretty much a farming frenzy, I would imagine here. Lots of poke from both of the supports, but I can't see a great deal happening until the junglers get involved.
No, it's going to be difficult for Ezreal to do that, and it does look like we've actually got Nautilus coming in the middle here, but nothing's going to come of it. YOLOzilla is still farming this top lane, and there's a very large creep wave that's built up here, so keep a little bit of an eye on that. We've actually got Anton M in this bottom lane getting quite aggressive. He has put down a bit of damage. He's going very, very close and just taking quite a lot of damage in return, but he's going to be okay in the end. I've in this situation as Singed though, in this top lane, you have to be so careful, because if Darius pulls you and you actually start trading damage with him, he's actually going to have all the creeps aggro on you, as well as his superior levels, as well as his superior damage. And that is so scary to deal with. He has actually apprehended Spontex, putting down some damage, but actually gets flung under the tower there. Not going to be dying of it, but obviously that is always the danger when you're pressuring a Singed into his tower.
Yeah, and it's going to be reflected, like you're saying before, that Singed is feeling very, very vulnerable, because you can have a look at the CS, already a 10 CS difference, not a huge amount of difference, but it is significant in the early stages of the game, and that's because Singed simply does not want to get apprehended. He realizes that Darius's Flash and Ignite is still up. You have Twisted Fate going extremely low in mid, Slingshot comes across, he is going to be going down. They managed to get revenge for the first blood. Karthus picking that one up as well, so nice stuff. Here comes Singed though, he has popped down the Ghost, just came off cooldown, throwing YOLOzilla behind his back. Agent from the side even, going to be going towards YOLOzilla. YOLOzilla still has his flash up and the dredge line narrowly missing. So they did burn that summoner and get the kill in mid.
Yeah, that is going to be actually able for a good opportunity, I think, for Spontex to go back here. He is obviously feeling very, very scared, and Gornagol not going to come in on that. He would have done if Spontex had stayed for any longer, but didn't actually end up happening. So, yeah. As you say, CS advantage is definitely opening up in that top lane. They have got 10 CS extra on that Darius. In fact, now going to be building up even more because of the wave that is there and the fact that Singed is not. But Singed is obviously notorious for scaling extremely well just on levels, and he isn't at the moment being zoned out too heavily on XP. And that's not going to be good from his perspective. He's not going to be, unduly upset. However, there will reach a point where Darius is at level 6 where he's going to have to start fearing for his life, because obviously Darius doesn't care about the bonus resistances on that Singed when he gets his own ultimate. So that's actually going to make it very difficult for him to survive. But you can expect to see some pressure from his team to try and end the lane at that point, because Darius, outside of lane, and actually, sorry, in mid, we have got Spuroblob in quite a bit of trouble here. Gornagol is going to be sticking to him. We have got the Elastic Slingshot charged, but not used. And, yeah, as I say, Singed will probably be much more useful after the laning phase than a Darius, unless Darius gets very, very farmed.
Yeah, Darius's ultimate is true damage, so as he said, he's not going to care too much about whatever Singed builds. He's still going to be able to do a fair amount of damage, so Singed may be looking to go with health, as you can see with the Ruby Crystal, more than likely. In fact, hold that thought for a second, because I can see that Anton is flashing up red at the bot lane. Here comes Requiem for the very comfortable kill in the end. They could be turning on to Vander here, but Nardius doesn't have a great deal of mana remaining, so he's not going to be able to follow up onto this. You do have the two junglers going to be butting heads very soon, Gornagol and Agent. Agent is actually a level up, so Agent will be chasing after Gornagol. Flash comes through on towards him. Here comes Twisted Fate as well. The Bloblets have been spawned. The T-1000 is going to be going down very, very shortly. To Twisted Fate, not a great deal that Karthus could do about that.
No, and that was just an unfortunate timing thing. You did see Agent coming just through there. He may have predicted that that would be where Zac would be, but obviously Not what you want from Gornagol. He was trying to set up for an elastic slingshot over the wall onto Spurblob, which is going to be an interesting name for me to say, and I'm going to continue saying it in that manner. Yeah, obviously he was in a bit of an awkward spot and was found out. Then obviously the CC chain just wouldn't stop. He was just gibbed, frankly, and now we have Spontex actually popping that ultimate in the top lane, trading off a little bit of damage with YOLOzilla, but now it looks like he's gonna back out, I think, and just resume laughing in the middle of the lane.
Yeah, so Karthus, oh, we are going to have the pause coming in from Vanda, so potentially some networking issues. Apparently Spontex DC'd and apologizing, so maybe that has something to do with the ultimate being popped a bit prematurely there. He's going to be running back in towards the minions again, doing as much damage as possible. There is still a bit of a CS discrepancy. He's picking up a few for himself, but anyway, the catalyst looking likely for both Singed and also Karthus here. Karthus with the Ruby and the Sapphire Crystals, plus the Tear of the Goddess, just going to be spamming down his lay wastes on towards the walls. Bimbo be picking that one up comfortably, but we have reached a bit of a lull in the action. So let's have a quick look at bot lane. We were talking about how they were going to fare off against each other. So far, Vanda does have a slight advantage over Ezreal on CS, and I mean very slight. It's about 2. Ezreal is going to be catching up very shortly, so pretty much even across the map, and that's going to be shown in the CS as well. We are dead on even on gold, just a 100 in it.
Yeah, so the question becomes, who is going to have the stronger mid game and who is going to have the stronger late game at this point? And I feel that, in my view, the mid game is definitely going to be going into the favor of Eternity, because if you have a setup where you have Twisted Fate, if you have a setup where you have Vayne is starting to hit the point where she's very, very scary, and it's also hitting the point where it's very difficult to focus her out at this stage of the game because she's still quite slippery, but the other guy's damage has not reached a huge burst level yet. So obviously they have that. They also have the mobility from Twisted Fate. They have the mobility from Singed, who's able to set up kills all over the place. They have a very, very solid kind of roaming game if they want to play it. And obviously that will happen. We have got YOLOzilla in this top lane in a bit of trouble here. Darius obviously lacks escape, and he's now going to try and put down some damage on Agent before he goes out of this world. He's going to be going down to the poison ticks, and there we go. Easy pick up there. But we do have the response Baron coming in. Baron Dragon now.
Yeah, Dragon, it has been started here. Twisted Fate putting down a bit of damage. Here comes Crescendo from the side. Vanda's popped his ultimate. True Shot Barrage back out. Drake has just gone down from Zac. Are they going to be re-engaging onto this? Wild Growth has been used from Dirtgen onto himself. Now going to be pulling away here. Karthus putting down a nice wall of pain. But here comes a Destiny from Twisted Fate. Locks in the red card to put down the AoE damage. They're going to shut down the Zac. Twisted Fate very low. Oh, he will just narrowly get taken out from Nardius. Now going to be looking to tower dive with Agent, who is very, very tanky, nearly at full health as well. So Bimbo will be falling. Triple kill coming in from Vayne. There's the quadra kill as well. And we were talking about, you know, you get Vayne fed, you get her item, she'll get dangerous. Getting a quadra kill at 10 minutes, that's pretty good news for Eternity right now. So we do actually, I'm not sure if Spuddington is still here.
I muted my microphone because I'm a complete Burke, as ever. Yeah, as you say, Vayne going to be so scary now, and obviously that is going to mean she's just going to scale very, very quickly out of control. When she returns to that bot lane, I would not be surprised to see jungler pressure coming down immediately, because Nardius on that Ezreal is not going to have a fun time against that setup. He's up until now, he's been on roughly equal terms, but now he is just not going to be able to compete in terms of damage at all, and he hasn't finished that Spirit of the Elder Lizard yet either, so he can't really try and play the kite game either. So yeah, difficult times in that bot lane, and obviously Gornagol is going to be key in trying to prevent that from snowballing too hard. Obviously Vayne can start to get to a point where she can zone you, just because if you stay in tumble range you're going to get shot, and that will be huge damage at this stage. But yeah, like you say, quadra kill for Vayne. Kills on the whole though across both sides, I don't think it went too heavily in the favor of Eternity there.
Yeah, plus, of course, you have to factor in that Bench Gaming did pick up the Drake. We are going to have an engage now. Gornagol's came at bot lane. Anton has been knocked back through Shot Barrage, goes straight through Sonar as well. But Vayne's actually popped the ultimate. They're going to be turning this one round. Back onto Gornagol again. Vayne being very, very aggressive here. Needs to make sure he doesn't overextend or things could get quite hairy. Meanwhile, at top lane, you actually have an engage on YOLOzilla, who's been caught. Again, he does have flash up, but I don't think it's going to make a great deal of difference. The poison is ticking down. In fact, he is going to flash through the wall, but Singe is going to chase after him with a flash and the ghost as well. Ignite's been popped down, along with the Noxian Guillotine, and Spontex hasn't picked up this kill yet. It looks like Darius could survive for a few moments later, but here comes Agent from the side, dredge lining in, and party pooper. Agent not going to allow that kill to come
Teleport
around.
coming in from Bimbo 8 though, so he's actually going to be now looking for this kill on Spontex. Spontex has used both of his escapes. It was noted that the glue is going to keep him alive, so not going to be too big of a problem. But a bot, we've actually got Dirtgen now in a lot of trouble. Vandenroof is actually going very, very low indeed, but does also just escape with a sliver of health. And now it's Twisted Fate just going to be pushing out this bot. Oh,
yeah.
Requiem.
Scumbag Karthus. It just came off cooldown as well, but I don't know if you caught that, but it was literally a second off cooldown when Vayne was trying to escape. Spontex very nearly died as well, so Karthus nearly picked himself up a double kill. Already has the Rod of Ages at his disposal, and looking very, very scary at this point. So we've been talking a lot about Vayne. The quadra kill, of course, was huge, but Karthus has been chugging along as well.
Yeah, and Karthus is going to scale up very, very quickly. He's a super, super strong mid-game and late-game damage threat. That's basically his role. And obviously getting a little bit of extra tank on him is nice because it leaves him that ability to just charge into the middle of you, survive for a little bit longer before going down, and then using the full set of Karthus abilities. And it's going to be interesting, actually. He is obviously very, very fed at this point, but he's up against a team which has on it a Vayne, and Vayne obviously has Condemn. That knockback is going to make it difficult for him to get in range to use that Defile, at least on the valuable squishy targets like Twisted Fate, like Vayne. If he manages to get that far at all in the first place, of course, because he is going to be dealing with Spontex, with that fling, and also just the wall of CC that is Nautilus. I think he might have a little bit of difficulty putting down the damage. He is, however, starting to get very, very huge. And if you get like a very close-up fight in a jungle such situation, then obviously you are going to start to reach a point where it's getting very, very dangerous indeed.
I'm interested to see what Karthus is going to pick up here. He's recalling with just over 2,000 gold, so I wonder if he's going to go for a needlessly large rod. He will go for the needlessly large rod, so he's not going to be finishing off the Sork Shoes straight away. He does have about 400 gold, so I'm interested to see. He's not going to pick anything up, so he's basically being like a turret of damage right now, realizing that the laning phase is still well and truly on, so doesn't necessarily need the massive maneuverability, and whenever his ultimate comes up now, it's going to do a lot of damage. Has 136 second cooldown, so it's going to be coming up very, very frequently, I should say, if I get my words out properly, especially with that blue buff. But Gornagle tries to make something happen in mid, not going to work out, so he's just going to run to Wraiths instead. Wall of Pain's been put down, and meanwhile the other jungler, Agent, is waiting in the top bush with Singe, but doesn't look like YOLOzilla is going to be caught out just yet. However, they have managed to catch YOLOzilla a few times, so maybe trying to prey on his aggression so far in this game.
Yeah, he is weaving just in range. We have got the depth charge coming in now. They are going to go for this dive. It does look like they have the means, though they are so tanky. And actually, the fling means it ain't a dive now. YOLOzilla, you're in trouble outside of the tower range. YOLOzilla going down. Spontex picks it up with the poison tick. And obviously, that is going to be the time for people to make plays elsewhere. But Gornagle, in fact, is going to do that. He's going to be taking that bottom tower. But obviously, Singe now getting that free farm and is now, I think, pretty significantly ahead of Darius. Darius 0-3-0. And 108 CS to the 115, 2-0-2. And actually in mid, Bimbo 8 is in trouble, has been ignited by Spuroblob, who is dodging so many of these lay wastes, and that's actually going to be him surviving just fine. And obviously now a continued fight going down in this dragon area. Gornagle is in trouble. We've got the damage going down onto him. He is trying to let's bounce out, but Spontex has that ghost. He's been sped up by that sonar and is going to be going for the fling here. He doesn't actually get quite in range. He does manage to land it, though. We have got the stun card coming out, and they're now desperately trying to kill the bloblets in time. And I'm seeing an interesting glitch with Gornagle, actually, where his he hadn't appeared to have died properly, but we are now seeing Spuroblob being chased down. Nartius is going to be chasing this for quite a while. I suspect Twisted Fate is you know, fairly fast actually as a character, but going to be okay.
Yeah, Twisted Fate did go for the Sork Shoes early on. We do have the Drake going down as well from Eternity, so that was a 1-for-2 exchange, but they did pick up the Drake, so global gold is an advantage. Having said that, though, they are now going to be potentially losing this mid tower. They lost the bot tower previously, So it has been somewhat of a role reversal. Top going down for bench, bot going down for Eternity, and now the mid on top of that for Eternity. So Global Gold is about 1k in advantage of Eternity at this point in time. But, of course, as the game goes on, this gold is going to be incredibly close, you have to feel. They've got a Fed carry on both sides. You've got Vayne for Eternity, Karthus for Benched Gaming. And the thing about Karthus is, I feel like he has a much wider role to play in team fights, Buddington. Obviously, Vayne can just rip through the entire team if she's left by and large untouched. But Karthus doesn't care about getting in everyone's face, putting the wall of pain down, running around with the file, and even after he dies, then ultimating. So definitely one to watch out for. We have another pause here, and apparently we have a disconnect coming in from Eternity again. So potentially some problems.
Yeah, it's obviously not ideal when these kinds of things happen, but it does give us a little bit of a chance to slow down, take a breather, and look at some of the builds we've got coming out here. So we've actually got the Twin Shadows and the Sheen looking to build that Lich Bane on that Twisted Fate, and I think that's a fairly common sight now. That's a build that's looking very much towards split pushing it, obviously, and build that looks very much towards letting ganks happen as well. It's a setup that's quite defensive because it gives you that Twin Shadows, it gives you more escape capability, also more pursuit capability. It's a very nice utility item. It also gives you just that little bit of magic resist, which is nice to keep you in in the lane. Obviously, they have got the Fed Karthus to contend with, and honestly, most of the other damage threats aren't as huge at the moment. Obviously, that Lich Bane will help with split pushing. That's just a solid all-around build, actually, for that Twisted Fate there. Meanwhile, we've got, Rod of Ages on Singed, which is fairly standard. Double Null Magic Mantle and Spirit of the Ancient Golem on Zac, though. So what do you think he's going for there?
That's an interesting one for me. I'm not entirely sure. I would expect maybe Runic Bulwark, because you do need 2 Null Magic Mantles for the Runic Bulwark overall, but I'm a little surprised if he was going for that. He wouldn't buy some kind of health, Ruby Crystal or something first, but only time's going to tell. Could be building into Merc Treads and then the Aegis afterwards. We will see in the next 5 to 10 minutes, I'm assuming, and it'll all pan out. But on the flip side for Nautilus, you are going to have the mobility boots. Of course, that's fairly standard for Nautilus. He wants the maneuverability to put down those supremely strong CC ganks. Also has the Spirit of the Ancient Golem and the Kindle Gem as well. At bot lane, they could be trying to set something up on towards YOLOzilla. I feel a bit sorry for him so far. He's been camped so hard from Nautilus. That could be reflecting the case that you were making in Champion Select in the early game as well, that Darius against Singed is not happy days for Singed. So trying to neutralize the threat of YOLOzilla is a smart move from Eternity, you have to say, and it's paid out for them.
Yeah, and bottom lane, there's actually been a fight going on. We did actually have Vayne there in a lot of trouble, getting caught out by the Crescendo, by the Lulu damage, and obviously the Crescendo was not enough to save her there. So yeah, Vayne just getting deleted there, and at the moment she's actually not doing so brilliantly after that very nice initial early game start with the quadra kill. Yeah, I do kind of feel like Darius' main weakness, and the reason you don't see him very often anymore, is just he doesn't have an escape. I mean, he is a brutal 1v1 laner, but that's pretty much all he does. He doesn't really scale brilliantly. I mean, he'll build a lot of tank and still do a fair bit of damage, but other than that, he's not great because he's just so easily kited, and he's not even that good as like a split pusher kind of duelist, even if he's not worried about being ganked for some reason, because he just doesn't clear waves. He clears waves well, but not very, very well. Singed will clear a wave faster than him, and obviously is tankier, is obviously able to run into the middle of an enemy team, put out more damage, and has as much CC. So, just generally at this stage, Darius is just not going to be the superior target. Obviously, though, Darius does always have that potential for the chain ult, which is quite a nice damage spike if he can get it done. But we do actually now see Spontix going to be getting not actually face checked there. We have got him looking for this now. He's jumping out of the tuft of brush that nobody checked. We have got Dirtgen actually not going to be flung back. Bimbo 8 is in trouble now. We have got the ult from Lulu coming in instead, though. Depth charge coming down. We've actually still got Bimbo 8 still alive. Gornagle now trying to get away from this. We have got Spudrob picking up that kill, and we've got Vayne in from the side, going to be picking up the Gornagle kill there. Carver's putting down the Requiem, but 2 for 3 overall, and that is still going to favor Eternity.
Yeah, but Kaostv did pick up a double kill there. And I apologize before, guys. I always forget to skip to live after a pause, so I was a few seconds behind and missed that kill at Vayne. Oh, she has been pulled in from Darius, though, apprehended towards the tower, but he's had such a slow start here, YellowZilla, which, you know, it's purely on the basis that he has been camped very, very aggressively from Nautilus. So he's not doing a great deal of damage. He's not that scary right now. He'll be hoping to get some farm and move towards the latter stages. So we were talking before about what we think Zach is going to be building here. He hasn't gone for the Mercury Tread boots. He's gone for the Ninja Tabby instead, and a cloth armor. So this is a very interesting build. I still assume that those two Null Magic Mantles, however, offer the Runic Bulwark going forward.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. They do have to deal with both Singed and Twisted Fate, and in fact Nautilus as well. So in fact, the Bulwark is going to be basically allowing most of his team to not really build that much magic resist and still, obviously, keep themselves alive against things like Singed, against things like that crescendo damage, which is more significant than people give it credit for. It's obviously at the moment only 150 damage, but it is only at rank 1, so could be you know, it's not something you can completely discount, and obviously couple that with the damage that you've got from the rest of the team, and yeah, you can see why that Bulwark is going to be a good pickup. It's a super efficient item as well.
Yeah, very true. So we are going to have Vayne going towards bot lane. Let's have a look at the CS difference. 184 to 171, not a great deal of difference, but of course she does have 5 kills to her name, so looking pretty good. Waiting in the shadows with the red buff. Here we go. She has popped off the ultimate instantly. Arcane Shift away, though. Destiny's been popped as well from Twisted Fate. We haven't engaged in the mid. Zach being thrown over Singed shoulders, but he is going to be Lex bouncing in the middle of the fray, and the crescendo comes out as well. Gornagle is extremely low. Narnia's from the side, though. Don't know if they want to be focusing on towards Spontex here. He's so tanky right now, so they're going to go onto Bimbo instead, who's going to put down the Defile and the Wall of Pain. Now he's going to try and put down some serious damage with the Lay Waste. Nothing quite landing. Here comes Requiem, though. Vandenoob is very, very low. He's going to be getting taken down from the Carthers. Now going to be switching their attention on towards Twisted Fate, who looks to be escaping here, throwing out the picker card, and will be okay. So after all of that, they could have another re-engage, however. Here comes Twisted Fate again. Barrier has been popped. You are going to have Zach going down in amongst all of that. Ezreal takes down Twisted Fate before being completely crushed himself from the Nautilus, and finally Singed cleans up onto Lulu. So that was a 5-for-3 exchange, and now they're pinging on the Drake.
Yeah, they're going to pick up that Drake more or less for free. It's a very easy setup for them now. They are very, very tanky, so that's going to take them a little bit of time, but not going to be too big of a concern. Obviously, the damage is just negligible at this point. But yeah, that was a really nice fight there. Carthus actually getting pretty much kited out by Twisted Fate. He pulled it, you know, he stunned him down, kept him out of the melee of the main fight, and just kept throwing those wildcards, kept bringing him down chunk by chunk, and eventually took him out. And obviously, Vandenoob is also great at keeping himself, you know, just out of that range of Carthus, or at least, you know, squirming around trying to avoid the Defile range, even if he's within Lay Waste range, because he's not so concerned about the Lay Waste. Obviously, it is a significant chunk of damage, but it's not going to be a world-ending thing, whereas that Defile will burn everyone down very, very quickly indeed. Still, and you can actually see that reflected in Vandenoob's build, because he's built that Blade of the Rune King, which is going to help him kind, and gone for that Phantom Dancer second, which isn't going to be as much damage as something like an Infinity Edge, something like a Bloodthirster, or even a Last Whisper, in fact. But it is going to give him that ability to just keep himself very, very mobile in these fights, keep himself out of the danger zone. And Gornagle actually now getting aggressed upon by Agent, who has seen Dirtgen, but does not seem to be interested, and now Gornagle is going to be chased down, but nothing going to come of it.
Yeah, I'm keeping my eye around blue buff here, but just to harken back to what you're saying before about Vayne, I think one of the reasons she has gone for the Phantom Dancer and Blade of the Ruined King instead of something like a Bloodthirster or an Infinity Edge or something like that is because the Silver Bolts do a fair amount of damage themselves. It's 8% of the enemy's maximum health is true damage, and obviously it's every 3 attacks. So with all of the attack speed she has, she is going to be chunking through the Silver Bolts much quicker. She's not going to be doing as much damage, however, if she can't chime together the auto attacks. That's one to watch out for. The second thing is, in these team fights, I feel the reason why benched are falling behind somewhat is because if you have a look at Zach, he's not really that tanky. He's not really surviving for very long. He's level 11 right now to Agent level 13. They're going to be starting on Baron. He's going to be jumping in on towards Anton, but instantly pulling himself back, just trying to delay here. Singed was around the Drake. They have spotted him, I believe, with one of the wards, or potentially not, 'cause it's actually on the Wraiths instead. But either way, they're going to be pulling themselves off the Baron, and the Baron has been crushed for now. But going back to the point I was making before, Zac just doesn't seem to have a great impact in these fights, bud. He's going down way too early, and he's not being able to inflict disruption that we all know and love about the Zac character.
Yeah, it's causing him a lot of issues. He's quite squishy. He hasn't had a brilliant early game. He did donate a fair number of kills, but that has meant that he himself has suffered a little. I wouldn't be surprised, though, to see him manage to make something happen in these fights. We have actually got the engaged potential here. Vanderloop has popped that ultimate. He has actually not going to be anything coming of it. Nothing, in fact. A little bit surprising, but Nadia's good reactions there, using his arcane shift as the hook landed on him, which obviously got him out of there. But it was kind of a surprise for me, at least, when the agent landed the hook. I was just not expecting him to be in range of it, but obviously you don't need to worry about it. You're Ezreal. Arcane shift.
Very true, and Vayne actually popped her ultimate. It doesn't have a massive cooldown, final hour, 70-second cooldown, so she's going to be happy with that one, not too bothered. But they're going to be putting down some pressure on towards mid right now. Darius is top lane, trying to hold off this creep wave, pushing onto his tower, which has taken a little bit of damage, but I would expect if the dredge line can land, they may very well try something. Agent is 3 levels above. They aren't going to land the dredge line on towards Durchin here, making the tower go down first. Very, very smart play. They don't want to take any unneeded damage. 3 players are about to fall here, you have to feel, with Bimbo going very, very low. He's going to try his best to put down some damage, so we are going to have 3 players down. Here comes Requiem, though. Is it going to be enough for Spontex? No, it's not. Spontex very, very tanky, and actually only picking up the Twisted Fate for Zac, Lulu, and Karthus, and the tower on top of that. So, you know, Eternity are really trying to push forward their kind of advantages here, Spuddington.
Yeah, it's looking very, very scary, and we are now seeing Agent going in for YOLOzilla. This could be another catch for them, and they have actually got the ultimate back up on Vayne. Easy kill there, and that's probably going to be another tower. Zac has respawned. They have got the ultimate from Ezreal coming back in, and now he's actually tanking at Vayne there, so maybe not going to be getting that tower. Got Dota 2 there. Sorry, Nadius is going to be going after this, and in fact, he might be able to chase them down here. He has got that Iceborne, but no mana left, so obviously not going to risk it. Obviously, Agent could just hook him at any point, and without Arcane Shift available, he wouldn't be able to do anything with it. Obviously, that's not a good exchange for Bench there. And what you saw essentially was Singed actually split pushing. He went in that top lane, and he actually pushed the creep wave up, and you saw the problem with Darius as a counter pusher, because he was quite slow. Even with that Sunfire cape, he was quite slow at clearing that wave, and that actually gave them the opportunity to, in that mid lane, just engage. Eternity just got that 4-on-5 engage, and they were already fairly ahead. They were fairly strong. Obviously, Agent and Singed are very, very capable of tanking in any tower you care to mention. And that was pretty much the reason that they were able to get that opportunity. Obviously, then that snowballed very quickly because they just killed all the important people. Gornagle, I don't know if he even got to use Let's Bounce, but regardless, it was very, very scary indeed.
Yeah, just a couple of things to mention as well. That you have a look at the 2 quote-unquote tanky characters on Bench Gaming's lineup right now, Zac and Darius. Combined, they are 0 for 11. So neither of them have had a particularly strong start. Neither of them are particularly tanky. You just have a Sunfire cape with 2 cloth armors on Darius and the components, as we were expecting, for the Aegis of the Legion and then the Runic Bulwark afterwards. But they don't have a great deal of tank ability, whereas Spontex, who's building a lot of ability power, has a Rod of Ages and a Riley's Crystal Scepter. You already have the Aegis of the Legion and the Locket of the Iron Solari on Nautilus as well. So a lot of peel, a lot of tanking, a lot of survivability on the side of Eternity. And the second point I was going to mention, while they're going to be taking down this Drake very, very comfortably, not too much to say about this, but the second point is, I think I've seen Bimbo use his teleport 1 time in this entire matchup, and that was at top lane. Apart from that, I'm at a loss to remember when else he's used the teleport, and therefore you have to question if it was worth picking up. I mean, fair enough, he hasn't had a great deal of chances to, because Nautilus has consistently taken down YOLOzilla, and bot lane has been somewhat of a difficult one for Ezreal, to say the least, but teleport used once that I can remember, and no real tanks on their team. It's not looking too good for them right now.
Yeah, and Vayne is only going to get more and more dangerous, and the pressure that the Eternity are exerting is only going to get worse too, because Twisted Fate is going to split push at some point. He's getting he's getting to kind of critical mass on AP where he can really start to chunk towers down fast. And I wouldn't actually be surprised to see him just, you know, roam bot. Obviously, at the moment, the threat of a Baron is going to keep him in place. And at the moment, too, I think we'll actually see the Twisted Fate ultimate coming in now. It's actually going to be going for Dirtgen, and they are actually potentially going to pick this up. The glue has gone down, and the fling goes down too. Dirtgen going to go down easily. YOLOZilla was in the area, but they're not going to want to fight this now. There's a 4-on-5, and they barely used any cooldown. Spontex obviously did ult, but it's not going to happen. We have got the Wall of Pain in place, but Spurbob getting pulled over the wall, but actually not going to be taken out. A little bit scary, though. That's the kind of thing that does your heart in.
Definitely, that's one of the reasons you pick up a Darius. So forcing a flash, but again, look at how tanky Singed is. He's going to go towards top lane. He's level 18, has 4,158 health. Nautilus has over 3k, level 15, 3 levels above Gornagle on the opposite team, so his smite is going to be far more powerful. This is going to be very difficult to steal out. I'm going to try and put some damage down. YOLOZilla trying the apprehend, but actually missing. Ridgeline comes through. They're going to be popping down the final hour, trying to put some damage out, but Baron is consistently attacking him from the side. Here comes Zach. Let's bouncing. This is one of the first times we've seen this engage playing off. Can it work out though? Can it pay out dividends? They've picked up one. Agent is very, very low here, and without Lulu, they're still managing to pick up kills. In the meantime, Spontex is being killed from Nardius. That's the shutdown. So we're talking about how strong and how tanky Eternity are, but if Bench Gaming get that perfect engage, it simply doesn't matter, and that's the first time we've seen it work for them.
Yeah, that was really, really good judgment there, because Gornagle came in when they'd already poked themselves down, and they actually played kind of their own kiting game there. What you saw was that Eternity really wanted the engagement to happen. They kind of tried to force Baron, didn't really work out. They kind of charged at them a bit, and then they actually were like, oh wait, hang on, we've charged at them here, but we're actually now quite not able to fight this directly, and they took a lot of poke. They were, you know, multiple characters down to half health. Singed had no ultimate available, and then that was the point where Bench just said, right, we can actually win this fight now, even though it's 4v5. They went in, obviously. Let's Bounce came down, and that was so good for them. They really, really set that up well for them, and obviously free Baron as a result. So that's put them much, much, much more back into contention. We are going to be seeing, obviously, Gornagle now finishing up the Runic Bulwark, which is actually a huge efficiency spike in terms of the amount of gold he spent compared to what he's getting out of it. We've got the Shurelias now on Dirtgen, so they are getting much more potential to engage. They're getting much more damage, obviously, from that Baron buff. And they are starting to get very, very tanky as well.
Yeah, it's very true. That Baron and that fight was just huge. Absolutely huge for Bench Gaming. It's gave them a lot of confidence. The power spike as well with the Runic Bulwark, as you said. Ezreal's managed to pick up a few items as well with the blue build, as we'd expect. And Karthus is just chugging along. He's been consistently doing a very nice job. Has Rabadon's Death Cap, Rod of Ages, Seraph's Embrace, and the Haunting guys with a blasting one. So lots and lots of damage. Here comes Zach from the side. Going to be slingshotting in, but he cancels it right at the end there. Doesn't want to be tower diving. They want to try and make use of this Baron. Going to be split pushing the bot lane. Agent is thinking about whether he should go in or not. YOLOZilla is doing a fair amount of damage now. Depth charge has been popped off on towards Nardius. True Shot Barrage has been pulled back though and retorting in. Crescendo just lands on towards YOLOZilla. While growth has gone down, YOLOZilla should be falling here. Indeed he will, and Vayne's on full HP, is going to be trying to jump back in again, but Bimbo, look at the damage that he's doing right now. Barry's been popped up, so it saves the life of Vanda for sure. Would have fallen without the barrier, but here comes the Requiem. Is it going to be enough damage? We can see it's going to get a double kill on the AD and support duo. Here comes Zach from the side, jumping on towards Twisted Fate, who's also going to fall. And that in a nutshell, ladies and gentlemen, is why you pick a Karthus. He is so ridiculously strong with items.
He just did such a good job there of melting through everyone, and you've got to say now they are definitely in the driver's seat. That engage was just really nice juggling of damage, because they kept the fact that they were aware that they had their own Karthus. You know, they made sure that the Karthus was the important thing there, because they put down some damage, they poked, they exchanged damage, then they backed off, and it was like, okay, now we're roughly equal, but several key members from Eternity were too low to survive the Requiem, and that was just so good. We've got Gornagle now getting aggressive. We have got Spontex in the middle of the enemy team. He's been ignited. It looks like they're just going to try and burst through the Singe, and it is actually going to happen. Not going to happen, actually. He got quite low, but still too much Singed to handle there, but it is a good inhib exposure, and that's actually going to change the whole dynamic of the game because of the pressure it's going to exert. There is now the ability for Bench to just force a fight pretty much whenever they want. So long as they group for that bot lane, they will obviously have somewhere they can make that fight happen. That being said, Baron is going to end fairly shortly, and we are going to see Singe now try to exert some pressure in return. He's going to push out this top lane. Obviously, that will force them eventually to react to the creep wave, but if they decide to just kind of exchange and Singe just shoves down that top lane, if they just decide to go for that bottom in hit, he will be forced to react to them rather than the other way around that it's been most of this game. I still feel, though, that Eternity have the potential to make these fights work for them. They obviously are having some troubles with Karthus at the moment, but they just need to be more efficient about kiting him, and at the same time, they need to be not getting too aggressive, not trying to force the fights too hard, because they keep actually doing that, and it isn't working for them at the moment.
Yeah, that's very true, but you do see that the Drake has been started off here from Bench Gaming. There are a couple wards, though, from Eternity, so they know exactly what's going down. I do agree with you, though. This game is very much still up in the air. Look at the goal difference, very close. It was just a massive swing, just a huge amount of swing. We do have Singe actually jumping into the fray against 4 players. He's going very aggressive. Here comes the Destiny from the backside, and the gold card is all on towards Nardis. Instantly, the Requiem has been popped from Karthus, who was slightly out of position. Now going to be moving in. Has the damage been done, though? Zach Let's bouncing all over the face of Twisted Fate. Is going to be knocked into his passive. Nautilus trying his best to pull himself away from this, and you are going to have Zach going down. So that was a 1-for-0 exchange with some ultimates being popped as well. Requiem is no longer on the card, so maybe this is the time for Eternity to try and make something happen. Is your mic muted again, Spud?
I'm so awful. I don't even. I'm sorry. But yeah, we have got. I keep muting it to have a drink or something, and then oh well, no, forget about it. But we have, yeah, as you say, I feel like Eternity were a bit too low to go for any real engagement after picking up Gornagle there. But they have forced that Requiem out there. That will be down for another, another minute or so. So they might look for something now that they've all backed, now that they've all picked up some items. And we actually are now seeing Vayne really reaching scary territory here. She has got that Infinity Edge. She's got a Negatron Cloak, Phantom Dancer, Blade of the Rune King. Tons of attack speed, tons of damage, tons of, well, a little bit of actual resistances now as well. So obviously going to be able to withstand Karthus that little bit better. I wonder if she'll go for Quicksilver Sash. I wouldn't expect her to go for it very early, though. It might be worth it just to mess with Darius, because you can actually cleanse the hemorrhage stacks while his ult animation is in progress. And that actually messes up his ability to get the last hit with it, and actually throws off the player as well. But we are now seeing Spontex in this top lane actually being pulled in. Yolozilla putting down a little bit of damage. He has popped the ultimate now, and is actually going to have to back out, and that may cost Eternity their window. This is now not going to be a viable engage for them because they just lost one of the most important ultimates.
Yeah, Baron is due up in about 35 or so seconds. So again, this is dangerous territory for Eternity. They don't want to be taking too long with this recall, because if they do, it could find themselves going a Baron down. So in the meantime, you are going to see Bench Gaming pushing the top tower, and should be picking this one up very comfortably. This is going to give Nautilus a chance to get himself back towards the Baron, and they are going to be picking that one up. But again, Baron is due up very shortly. In the meantime, though, actually Eternity, I should say, are going for a very aggressive push down mid with the attack speed of Vayne. They're going to be taking that one down very quick. Here comes Baron any second now. There we go. Spontex right on point, right on top of that. And Benched have recalled. So Destiny's been popped off from Twisted Fate. The question now, it's basically a damage raise. Can they take Baron down before the lineup of Bench get into position? It looks very likely here. They're going to be picking up the Baron, now turning on towards the side of Bench Gaming. Land the dredge line on towards Gornacle. The crescendo has gone out as well. Nice is trying his best to stay at the back line, putting down as much damage as possible, but this is Bimbo's territory. He's happy enough to die here, flashing in. He's doing so much damage, even though he's dying. Once the Requiem come out here, this could pick up a couple kills. Going to be taking down Sona, and the double kill coming in from Ezreal as well. So that is 3 players, soon to be 4, falling for the side of Eternity. So yes, they pick up the Baron, but they lose 4 players for it. Very nice play there from Bench to get back into the side of Baron, and beautiful play there from Bimbo, flashing into the fray with the Defile, happy enough to die.
Bimbo is so key in these fights right now. I've got to say, that's actually slightly worrying, because if Benched ever have Bimbo get caught out, they are going to lose. And you actually saw him use that summoner teleport to get there in time. This time, it actually worked out very, very well for them, because that could have gone so badly wrong. And it was a very, actually, nice timing call by Eternity. They saw that Benched had committed that top lane. They saw that they could then counter push down that mid and get the Baron up, down in time. But it was just, they did not count on them getting there quite that fast, and it was, I think, largely because Bimbo was so fast. He was teleporting in, and that obviously threw them off massively. I don't know if they had checked for a ward in that area, so maybe that was what cost them, but it's a very, 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 very close call there from the perspective of Benched. It did come off in their favor, though, so once again, they are ahead. They are actually still a little bit behind on that gold, but and they are certainly capable of winning these fights, as we are noticing time and time again. We do now have a Banshee's Veil picked up on Vandernoob, so he's going to be a little bit harder to focus out now. I'm curious which spell in particular you think he's trying to prevent there, though.
It's definitely edged, I would say, more towards the Ezreal poke with the Mystic Shot than the Requiem, because Requiem, you know, it's not going to be coming up that often. 137 seconds cooldown, and more often than not, those kind of team fights, the Requiem's going to come towards the middle to the end once Karthus has died, by which time Vayne's probably going to ate quite a bit of damage anyway. So I'd imagine the Mystic Shots, but also, of course, it is there for the Requiem as well, if it so needs to be. But it is a nice pickup.
He is actually in this mid lane now, has popped the ultimate, did actually get caught out by 3, but it looks like it was a bait. We actually now have Gornagol popping Let's Bounce, and he is going to be going up and down, but he's still alive for now. He has been ignited. Nadia is now getting depth charge. He's going to have to run, but we actually got the pull in. Spontex unable to quite reach him in time, but now he's going to be putting down just nothing. Actually, he's not even there, I think. But we have got Spontex looking for some damage here. Actually, in spite of rather a messy kind of brawl there, nobody actually died, did they?
No, they didn't. Lots of blinking players who have gone back to spawn again, but nobody being taken out. Lots of ultimates were burnt in the process. They've lost the final hour, the crescendo, the depth charge, and also the insanity potion from Singed. Requiem is back up again, and they do have the wild growth, so pretty much every ultimate is available, barring the Let's Bounce from Zac. They're going to be going back on towards the Drake again here, Eternity, and trying to make something happen. But it's going to be somewhat of that farming frenzy again. Going to try and maybe split push with the Singed at the bot lane, recalling as they take the Drake. And this is a very, very close game, Spud. And if you go back to sort of 20 minutes ago, this looked like Eternity had it pretty much comfortably. But a beautiful turnaround from Bench Gaming to take it to 43 minutes nearly and have it so close.
Yeah, it's looking really, really close, as you say. We have actually, I feel this is this time, though, where we're going to start hitting problems for Bench's team composition, because up until now, Ezreal has been a very, very relevant damage threat. But comparing him to Vayne now, he's going to start to seriously fall off. Vayne is reaching that kind of super late game hyper carry status, and we actually potentially there could see Agent not getting caught out. We have got the Destiny coming in here. Actually been popped, but it's just giving vision at the moment. YOLO's getting focused very, very hard. We've got Vandernoob off on the side. Going to be trading damage with Nadia. He's going to be trying to avoid the layways. He is actually going to be keeping himself alive, but actually going down very, very low. He is now in Requiem territory if it goes down, but obviously at the moment, Karthus can't afford to do it because he's in the middle of the fight. We do have Spontex continuing to fight YOLO. Requiem has come down. Vandernoob is still alive. Zac has been popped. He is going low. He is going to be taken out before he can respawn, and now we have a good situation for Eternity. They are one up in terms of kills, but they are also on full health, unlike their opponents.
I can't tell you how well that was played by both Vandernoob and Twisted Fate. Twisted Fate completely zoned Karthus out. Karthus got Vayne very, very low. She even had to pop the barrier and was life-stealing on the minions, and then Zac. Twisted Fate knew that Karthus, in fact, hold that thought for a second, so we do have another engage. The True Shot Barrage narrowly missing Anton. That would have been a kill, but the Wall of Pain has landed on towards Agent. Agent will be falling here. Will they make the re-engage a possibility? Doesn't look likely for now, but going back to the point I was saying before, Vandernoob was frantically trying to get lifesteal back up, while Twisted Fate landed the gold card on Karthus, putting him in place, giving Vandernoob just enough time to get enough health to survive the Requiem. So really, really smart play from Twisted Fate and Vandernoob there. So they pick up the 1-for-0 exchange. Of course, Bench have managed to bring that one back to even taking down Agent. But this game, man, this has been awesome. And remember, this is just the first game. We could have another 2 coming up.
Yeah, and at this rate, it wouldn't be too surprising if there were more games. I've got to say, though, Karthus is now capped on items. Ezreal is now kind of hitting the point where he's falling off. Vayne is actually also capped on items at the moment, but I wouldn't be surprised to see her swap out that Banshee's Veil, or maybe even her boots, for something else, maybe even something like a Zephyr, just giving her that little bit of extra attack speed, gives her tenacity, which is super nice at this stage of the game. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw it, but obviously that's people are just in general actually now starting to hit the point where they have no more items to buy. Twisted Fate actually picking up that Nash's Tooth, so he really is looking to split push, but all things considered, I haven't seen him doing a lot of split pushing considering that. I mean, honestly, you wouldn't build I mean, obviously stack deck does a bit of damage, but I don't feel like it's really worth building that much attack speed for, so it feels to me like he is definitely looking to just take out towers with that build. And that Baron is going to respawn soon. Benched are there. They have actually now got the ward over the wall. And actually they seem to have a slightly missed timer there. Bimbo8 was throwing some late waste down. May have just been to show how much mana he had. But not going to happen. In the end, the Baron has respawned now. We have got the Wall of Pain going across the wall. But nothing going to happen from it. Spontex has got the Oracles. He has got double elixir and full build as well. But it does look like they're going to start the Baron here. In fact, Benched looked like they had kind of thought this wouldn't happen, and they have actually backed off, but they are going to be coming in now. We have got the Destiny revealing them. It looks like Eternity think they can take this out, and they have managed to do so, but now Twisted Fate teleporting right out of the fight, and it's actually going to be coming back in again off the side. Spontex is going quite ham here, but he isn't going to be able to zone out anyone, I feel. Nardius is just putting damage on him. Bimbo8 is now putting damage as well. Vandernoob is putting out tons of damage, but it's not going to be enough. Spontex is now in the middle of everyone. Bimbo8 goes down to the cards. Burblop putting that down. Nardius now getting low as well. We've got Vandernoob coming in from the side. The second hit actually isn't enough, and Nardius is still alive. He might look to try and pick up a kill here because the rest of his team is dead. And if he doesn't, then he's likely to lose towers, likely to lose other things as well. But looks like he's just going to opt to go back, and that is going to be a little bit scary for them now.
Yeah, so they lost the Baron. And on top of losing the Baron as well, they lost 4 players. Just for the support, just Anton fell there from Eternity. So alarm bells beginning to ring. But again, if their comp can land the perfect engage, if they can execute properly, they have every chance of bouncing back. It's going to be a bit harder now that Vayne does have the Banshee's Veil. I really like this pickup from her. Going to be able to actually go 1v1 against Nardius. Nardius caught with his pants down. He's going to be chased down from Vayne, and look at the damage that Vayne does. Even through the barrier, there was nothing he could do. He was trying to keep the tower alive, but I'm not sure if maybe he lost track of how much health the tower had left because he was just kind of stood there doing nothing and got crushed.
Yeah, now we have Spontex popping the ultimate while he tries to buy time for Vandernoob to actually put down the damage. He is actually going to dodge that apprehend there. We have got Spontex now still under the tower. Towers are irrelevant at this point. Twisted Fate is coming in. Yolazilla has been knocked up, and he's going to be bursted down by Rob, who's going to be putting down the damage. Spontex is actually now trying to back out. He's going to be maybe going back in again. Now we have got the damage going down on the tower. Crescendo comes across. Bimbo8 is going to go down. This is looking very, very good here for Eternity, and they are going to be going for this inhib. They, I suspect, will then push onto the Nexus. Bimbo8 being dead. Ezreal being dead. Yolazilla being dead. This is going to be the GG. Well played. Spontex playing a very nice engage there, and that is the game. I think Nexus goodbye.
Yeah, that will be the game, and I don't want to put a lot of the blame on Nardius because he played a phenomenal game there, but I feel that getting caught at that second tier tower was a little sloppy. Losing an AD carry at nearly 50 minutes through the game, he had like 50 to 60 seconds death chamber time, so they knew that he was down for like a minute. And therefore, they're just going to push the envelope and they're going to make plays happen through mid. And I can't help but feel that Nardius going down at top lane there was basically the final nail in the coffin as far as Bench Gaming were concerned. They couldn't really do anything without their AD carry. But as you say, that's going to be first game going to Eternity. This is a best of 3 format, so we could potentially have another 2 games coming up, Spuddy. And I've got to say, if they're anything like this game, we're in for a cracker.
Yeah, that was a really, really solid game. Both teams actually playing very well, and Bench nearly coming back into it, but so well played. Especially, I think, by Bimbo8. You've got to say, I mean, he really, really set up so many kills, and his positioning was just fabulous at all times. I don't think I ever saw him get caught out. Ever.
That's a really fair point. And as you say, he was setting up kills. When bot lane wasn't looking too good after the Vayne quadra kill, when top lane was getting consistently ganked from Agent on Nautilus, and Zac wasn't providing that much tanky kind of play or the initiates, it was Bimbo that was carrying his team for the first 30 or so minutes of that game, pretty much all on his back. And he was the shining light on benched gaming. He allowed the rest of his team to catch up and to actually have a fair crack at that game and maybe even win it. Didn't quite turn out, but still he put in a really solid performance. And I think that they're going to bounce back here in game two. I feel that bench definitely have the capabilities to bring this back to all even at least.
Yeah, obviously that was very, very nicely played there by Eternity, who have won that game, and that is obviously